What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, host of the Philly Talk podcast, and today we got a special guest, Philly 500 King Dingbat himself. How you doing today?
I am doing great. I just got a call from Mark Holmes, as you can see on this side. He's scared to death of the Eagles. He fears the Eagles. So hearing that makes me feel a whole lot better. How you doing, my man? What's happening?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. And then shout out to everybody in the chat already. Vic3, Kara Poole, Kurt, Sports Fan, Joseph Vega, the Nest Out West, Mr. Eliminator, Mad Hater, Burman 959, Stephen Joyce. You know, the biggest reason we're late is because we didn't want to bore you guys with the Sixer talk, but we had to talk a little Sixers behind stage. We're going to keep this all about the Eagles. And, you know, we finally got to hear from Jonathan Gannon. We heard a little bit more from Shane Steichen. And I want to get your immediate thoughts, especially on Jonathan Gannon's press conference.
The more I hear from this coaching staff, the more impressed that I am. The key to the Gannon press conference, and to me, I took it for the whole coaching staff, was when he talked about we're not going to be committed to just one system. We are going to look at the guys on our team. We are going to evaluate the talent, know who does what good, and then adjust our scheme and what we do according to that. That is the sign of a good coach. That is a sign of good coaching staff. That is something Doug Peterson never did. So when I heard that, I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Now they've got to go out and do it. But that's what I want to hear. I thought it was a great sign.
Yeah, man, I'm not trying to get political, and I'm really not into that, but you can only vote for the guy you want off what they're running for, you know, when you're talking about presidency and all that. And so all we can do is go off what he said, and so far, so good. I loved it. When I did the video talking about Jonathan Gannon, I kind of compared him, the comparison to Jim Schwartz, who at the end of the day has a good mindset for defense, but he needs a better personnel. He needed better players than the Eagles offered. And his problem was, my defense worked before. It's not working with these guys. I'm going to keep trying to force this defense. Yeah. Where Gannon's pretty much saying, I'm going to do what these guys can do well.
Yeah.
You know, we take a bad loss, Gannon will adjust, it looks like. And that was big to me. And, you know, I know you probably heard Ryan Kerrigan's interview today, and he's real big on Gannon and them and being a part of why he picked the Eagles over the other two teams. And I know you talked about it on your channel and said how do you feel about the Kerrigan pick?
I thought it was a great pickup. Now I don't expect us to get Kerrigan of 2-3 years ago. I don't think he's that guy. But if you look at him as like a rotational piece, right? I think he's a great guy to have. I see him as like that Chris Long role, right? Now, maybe if guys struggle and he's playing good, maybe he does take reps away. But I also think he's a good mentor guy, a good guy to bring in for Josh Sweat, even Derek Barnett. You know, I'm sure he could teach those guys a lot. I mean, he has killed us over the years. He has killed us. So I love bringing Kerrigan in, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and like I agree 100%. And it says something about how this team is retooling or rebuilding, because you would think a guy wants to go to a more secure spot, to a spot where maybe his playing time's a little bit more fair. And I think it's going to be left up to whoever's getting it done. And the best production is going to come from the healthy guys. And people just talk about him being a rotational piece. Brandon Graham was on fire the early part of the season. I thought he was going to have a monster year, and he still got his best sacks. I think it was 9 or 10. He just cracked double digits.
Did he crack it?
He didn't crack it. He had 9, right?
I thought it was 9.5, something like that. Yeah.
But he I think he had 8 at half the season. And so
I know
you saw him tail off. So what that does is, if Ryan Kerrigan is splitting times with him and or Barnett and Sweat, it's going to keep Brandon Graham fresher too. You're not going to have the second part production of Brandon Graham, which we saw wasn't there. So I think the healthy rotation is just going to be a point of emphasis for everybody, even the young guys, because fresh legs in the fourth quarter, you can't rotate offensive linemen. So these guys are tired. and you got fresh bodies in there. Fletch, Hargrave, and all the guys. Who knows how much Milton Williams will play inside and all that.
No, exactly.
I definitely love it.
Yeah, it was a great pickup. And it was a pickup also that was for next year. It's for now. It's not for 2-3 years down the road, which should tell people the Eagles are trying to compete for this division this year.
Yeah, and in a division where I think it's open. Again, I'm not going to sit here and not say that the Giants and Cowboys didn't get better, because getting your quarterback ultimately is going to make any team better. And the Giants did do some good moves on paper. They got to see how they pan out, because paper champions are not going to get it done in this league. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've seen that a lot. We've even lived through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we know. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, the Galladay signing was good. I have big questions about the Giants' offensive line. I have big questions about Daniel Jones. And then you have Saquon Barkley coming back from an ACL injury. Usually running backs are never the same the first year back. So I don't know. We have a lot to see from the Giants. So,
Yeah, and you're at this point now in the offseason where it's all going to be speculation, predictions, and seeing what we can do. And I think on top of the things that you said, I think their quarterback play, because you got a guy who had 10 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Like, you can project him being better off of the team around him getting better. Yeah. But it's still an ugly sample size you saw from Daniel Jones in 2020. So he has his own work cut out. And so,
I mean, even Giant fans, a lot of them admit that they don't know what to expect from Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So it's just wait and see,
Correct. And see, the unknown factor of a Jalen Hurts, to me, there's more tape out on Daniel Jones. So if Daniel Jones is going to get better, it's going to be like, well, we know he stinks at this. He has to be better this year. Right. We don't necessarily know the full scouting report on Jalen Hurts. Good play, bad play. And we'll figure that out as we go. Shout out to Birdman951 with the $5 super chat. He said, proud of you guys leading a green army. Where are my soldiers at? Shout out to you.
I love the thumbnail, yo. That's a badass thumbnail.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. I need that right over Mark Holmes over here. That's beautiful.
But now, I know you talk schedule prediction and stuff, and it's really hard to go game by game. But like, ultimately coming off a 4-win season, it's hard to say what would you be satisfied with, because we just want to win. We want to win the division and all that. But what is the worst case scenario? Like, if you want to say, I got to see something out this team, they can't end the season with less than this amount of wins, where it's like, wow, we really have some type of problems going on.
It depends, because like, I really look at this team as I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. Right. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. I mean, let's just be honest. But I do think they can win the division. Like, I think that is a realistic goal in a division that was weak a year ago. I still don't think it's the greatest division. I think they can be competitive. Why did they win 4 games last year? What was the main reason? Injuries. They were banged up all over the place. This team was hurt. So if we're going to go and watch all these people do schedule predictions and talk about, my team's going to win this many games, my team's going to win this many games, and then you do the Eagles, you got to take into account that we're going to assume that people stay healthy, relatively healthy. Well, now, if you're telling me we're getting Lane Johnson back healthy, Brandon Brooks back healthy, Jason Kelsey back healthy, Fletcher Cox is healthy, Hargrave is healthy, you're telling me all these guys are going to be healthy this year, then the Eagles should be competing for a division. What I want to see from this team, more than the wins, is I want to see Jalen Hurts be the guy. Because if he's the guy, and let's say you only win 7 games, but he's the guy, you go into the next offseason with 3 potential first-round picks, and you have something to build on. So I want to see the Eagles in December be competitive, be in the running for their division, and I want to be able to say Jalen Hurts is the quarterback for us going forward. That to me would be a very good season.
Yeah. Like you said, the best way to really just turn it around quickly and not have a long drought like a Cleveland Browns, a Miami Dolphins, even the New York Giants had a pretty long drought, is to make sure the quarterback that we got is the quarterback going for the future, because then you got the 3 first-round picks to bolster the roster, not really restart at the same position we somehow can't get right. And I agree. You're talking about a healthy team. That's 2, possibly 3 more wins. You're talking about Jalen Hurts. Hopefully he's the guy, but let's be honest, whether you love Wentz or hate Wentz, he played horrible throughout the season. Whether it was his doing or not, he had some bad quarterback play. So you get better quarterback play.
That's what it was. It was all them Twinkies he was eating.
Yeah, watch him come to the Colts looking in shape. And all
he's going to be like 30 pounds lighter. You watch.
But in the end, it's like, to me, it comes down to, I want Jalen Hurts to be great. But even if he's playing at a C plus B minus, it's better quarterback play than what we saw last year from Wentz. Yeah. Nick Sirianni, he talks good talk with X and O, scheming guys open. If he can just run the ball, he's ahead of Doug last year. Because listen, I don't want to throw too much shade on Doug. He won us a Super Bowl. I think there were things out of his element that got him out of his element. I don't think he would have went this sour if there wasn't all that commotion going on, like the Athletic story said, where he had to be in interviews. He could be dang near got put in timeout by Howie Roseman, like, go sit in the corner. So I can't fully blame Doug on that.
But there are things that even Doug did. Like, if you look at the 4 wins, what if we took all the times Doug went for it on 4th down, instead of kicking field goals, kicking extra points, doing things like that, how many more wins would that give us? I'm willing to say 2 or 3. I'm willing to say you win that Cincinnati game. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's a couple more.
2-point conversion in the
Ravens game too. So you probably win 2 or 3 more games. So you take that 2 or 3 more games. Now that gives you what? 5 to 6 wins. Now you say you're healthy. You get guys all season. That's a couple more wins. They would have won the division. So to me, those are the reasons why you're a 4-win team.
Exactly. And it's different if Doug Peterson is back and you're like, well, you can't predict him not calling plays like that, because that's just what he does. See, when people try to project on Daniel Jones, it's like, we saw him be bad, but I think he's going to now with talent be better. And we would be saying the same thing. If Carson Wentz was coming back, we'd be saying, well, he was good in 17 and 19. And if Doug's coming back, well, he did win the Super Bowl, but we're not saying that. We're saying we got unproven guys who are hungry. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, question marks aren't necessarily always bad. A question mark can surprise you in a very good way.
Look, if Nick Sirianni is telling the truth, if they're going to come out and they are going to do what they say they're going to do, I think the Eagles are going to be really, really successful. I do, because Doug did not try to use the best things about his players to their abilities and to their talents. He did the exact opposite. Proof being, go back and look at 2017. Carson Wentz having an MVP year. He gets hurt. They decide to go RPOs with Nick Foles in the playoffs. They look back at what he did with Chip Kelly, right? That 27-2 year. So he wins the Super Bowl. Carson comes back. What do? They decide they're going to keep all the RPOs for Carson Wentz. Totally didn't fit him. Wasn't what was working in 2017, yet they kept trying to do it. And that's the problem. That was the problem with Doug for many years. So when you look at why he's gone, that's part of it. Part of it, the inability to know how to work and develop the young guys. If Nick Sirianni is going to use this team to its ability and, use Miles Sanders, use Devontae Smith, right? You figure out what works best for Rager. They do those things, I think they'll be very successful.
Yeah. And you hit it on the nose. Just like Doug Peterson wrote a book. He said, this is how I did it. I don't care if it's number 9, number 11. Yep. I think he believed this is the way to do it. And the biggest thing that makes me want to do what Mark Holmes is doing right now is I don't understand why Doug Peterson didn't run the ball when you have a running back who's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. He's top 5 in the NFL. The run is working in multiple games, and he just pulls back and says, no, your quarterback is struggling. For whatever reason, he's struggling. Run the ball. I just don't understand.
And there were times where it was like, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but there were times where it was like, Miles Sanders had like 10 carries in the first half for 70, 80 yards. And then he'd get 3 to 5 carries or touches the rest of the game. What are you doing? What is going on with, why would you do that? It made no sense.
Yeah, and I can say this again. Frank Wright did say that Nick Sirianni was big in the game planning of for their games. And so I'm not sure if Nick Sirianni on the sideline will have the guts to do something like this or that. Maybe he gets a little choked up. We don't know how his actual play calling is, but what I do know is while game planning with Frank Wright, this is what he did. When Andrew Luck was there, they were top 7 in pass attempts. Yep. Why? Because he can sling the ball. When Jacoby Brissett was there, they were top 7 in running back rushes per game. Why? Because they want Jacoby Brissett to manage the game. And then when they had Phillip Rivers, they were even more balanced. So they played to each quarterback's strength, and Nick Sirianni seen that firsthand. So if Jalen Hurts can sling the ball, let him sling. If you got to be more of a game manager, especially him being young, that's not knocking his talent. Using him in the run game with Miles Sanders, having more of a bully ball with our offensive line. Well, if it's resulting in W's, I'm all about it.
Yep, I agree.
Shout out to Robert Drennan with the $9.99 super chat. Appreciate you. He said, "What's up, fellas? What do you tell a Dallas Cowboy with 2 black eyes? Nothing. You already told him twice."
I love it.
Hey, he always comes and he has the most craziest Cowboy jokes. Jerry Jones and all that. He stayed killing it. He stayed killing it. But yeah, let's talk about this real quick, just because it's a trending topic on Twitter, and I want to get your take on it. How did you feel when Julio Jones kind of put the Atlanta Falcons on blast, but also shot down Cowboy Nation?
That was awesome. They've been eating that all day long, and now you're starting to hear this. Well, we weren't going to get him anyways. He knows that we weren't going to trade for him, but 2, 3, 4 hours before that, they were all talking about Julio Jones coming to Dallas. They're going to get him. Yeah, you got to love it. You got to love it. It was classic.
It was a classic because, like I said, I immediately watched that. And again, shout out to some of the Cowboy content creators. I follow them. There's some cool people, but they all came out with their video talking about some, it would have been nice, but we were never really into them, like you said. And I'm like, I know they were like, well, let's throw this one away. We don't have to edit this one because we're not going to put out why he would make this team better and stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
That's good. But yeah, like we didn't need any other offensive weapons going to the Cowboys. Like I said, but their season is really going to be based off a Dak Prescott, a Mike McCarthy, who didn't show you anything promising. So, the crazy thing is we made fun of everybody in the division for having new coaches. And we were like, we're the only one with the remaining coach. We're going to be more ready. And we were the ones not ready. So I'm very excited for just a new energy.
I agree. I totally agree. Not just in terms of the coaching staff, but I just think in terms of getting younger and getting young talent in. We're getting too old, too much like loyalty, and I hate to say it, but too much loyalty to some of the older guys. Doug, for whatever reason, right? You have Travis Fulgham playing absolutely great. Alshon comes back. They take reps away from him. It was constantly like that. Jordan Mailata playing left tackle was playing good. Jason Peters comes back. They insert him right away. So I think we're starting to get away from that now. And you see all these young guys coming up, and that's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And so, we're going to have some battles in camp. Off top of the head, what is the most interesting positional battle that you're interested to find out who's going to succeed, who's going to fall down the depth chart? What position?
Wide receiver, not even close. It's such a fascinating thing because Devontae Smith is going to be the first guy, but like who's going to play on the other side of him? I have no idea. And I like Quez Watkins a lot, right? He's my horse to do something. Okay, I think he's going to do something. Fulgham has showed us a lot of promise, so maybe he's the guy. Then you have you have Grimes, who we picked up, who I think is going to compete for a roster spot. You have the Umbrella Man, who he should be out of here right away. I think he's gone. Greg Ward Jr.? Is Rager going to the slot? I think it's going to be fascinating. Then don't forget John Hightower. So to me, that's got to be the most fascinating battle in camp.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see how the coaching staff did John Hightower and Quez Watkins. Now, Quez Watkins came into the season a little banged up. However, you saw John Hightower, the 5th round pick, get playing time early, and then later in the season, they gave most of that extra playing time to Quez Watkins, and John Hightower wasn't able to get back on the field. And we saw him be able to separate. He just couldn't. He had the case of the Nelsons. He couldn't track the ball in the air. And so, how do you feel about Devontae Smith working out with Nelson Aguilar?
Keep Nelson Aguilar the hell away. Keep him the hell away. There's nothing good that could come of that. Just my opinion.
Yeah, but he's strong enough to not to fall into any of them things. And it's funny though. Shout out to LB because LB Fitz Vegas. It was funny that Fitz Vegas, big supporter of Devontae Smith. Now all of a sudden he can't catch or whatnot. So it's funny how the tides turn as soon as he puts on that Eagles green, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Giant fans loved him. Until he got drafted by the Eagles.
Correct.
Now they never wanted him. They never wanted him. They're happy with Kadarius Toney. Please.
Yeah, and look, I can understand a guy like Christy Entertainer, who I had on the NFC Roundtable. I understand his philosophy now. Is like, if you look at it, like after day one, you had to be a little upset. But if you look at it now, the haul they got, if Daniel Jones or when Daniel Jones ain't the right guy, is good. It is. They got extra picks, and that's why we moved back to 12. We got extra picks. But
I think the Giants did the right thing in trading back. Yeah, I think they did the right thing to trade back. I just don't like the pick that they made in the first round. I thought the Kadarius Toney was a reach. Now in the second round, they got that other kid, Ojulari or whatever. I thought that made up for it because I thought he was a first round talent. So it kind of worked out for them, but they had to trade back. And shout out to Chris Entertainer. He wasn't a Devontae Smith guy, even leading up to the draft. So I wasn't, so I can't go too hard on him. But there was a lot of other guys that were like, we want Devontae Smith.
Yeah, we saw the reactions across the world, the Pizzles and even just regular fans on Twitter. But like you said, he came from an area. He did speak that if they got Devontae Smith, oh boy, he wouldn't be upset. He loved his game. But Chris was big on offensive linemen. He was also big on just possibly getting some extra draft picks for the future. So I think they did okay. But at the end of the day, no way they were just perfectly fine with that come day one, because or come that pick. They knew at the end of day one, they got all this extra stuff, or they knew what, like 20, 30 minutes later, because it went to Eagles, then the Cowboys. The Eagles, then the Giants, then the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So they knew what they got, but like during the moment, they were marking Devontae Smith next to their name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was too, because when Dallas was on, you figured that they're going to make their pick, Slater or Parsons. Then the Giants are going to take Devontae Smith, and we're going to come away with nothing. It looked bad for us. It really did.
Yeah, and so I kind of knew you were going to go to wide receiver for the best position, and there's going to be some good fights. I think maybe one and two is definitely locked up by both Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor.
You think Rager's on the outside, though, or you think he's in the slot?
I think they're going to want to try him in the slot. I think he offers a lot of upside in the slot.
So then who's to that outside position becomes fascinating.
It does, because it hurts Greg Ward, because Greg Ward's value is in the slot. Could he be the backup slot to
That's
Jalen
what
Reagor?
I think. That's what I think. I think he's the backup to Reagor. And then I think the guys that you got to watch, I think Umbrella Man's gone. And I think Hightower is the guy that could go too.
Yeah.
Or he could come up with a phantom injury, like he bumped his toe and he's on IR. Somebody's going to end up on IR that don't belong on it. They always do that.
So we could try to hold on to him, see what we got and all that. But yeah, I definitely would have went wide receiver position too, to see that battle in camp. And thank God we're going to get more media access because of this COVID thing kind of subsiding. but I am interested in the offensive line and mainly the Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard pick. There's a first round pick invested in Andre Dillard. I know a lot of people talking about moving Andre Dillard inside to a guard position, but Sam Malu is not the best, but he's definitely not the worst. So I think you really do got to let Dillard and Mailata battle it out. Now, here's my take on that. If I think iron sharpens iron, I think Dillard's really not that as soft as people think. I think he definitely needs to work on bull rush and whatnot. He does have things that I like about his movement with his feet, able to keep the speedier pass rushers away. We haven't seen him play in a long time, though, but they can only get better from battling in camp for that left tackle position. And you have to feel confident that whichever one wins, if it's a close battle, you have a solid replacement on the line, and you're deep. You're deep where you have the Driscolls, the whoever loses out of Mailata or Dillard to be that swing guy and move around. You know what I mean?
Well, they also brought in that other kid. I forget his name off the top of my head from Indianapolis just the other day, right? So he's another swing tackle. So is he going to compete too with these guys? I mean, if I have to guess, I really think Jordan Mailata is the real deal. I think he's going to be your left tackle. What do you do with Dillard? Is he just going to sit on the bench? How are you going to have a first round guy sit on the bench as your backup? I think you got to try to trade him at that point.
Yeah. Especially if you can. Well, I know the guy who came in from the Colts has an ACL. He's hurt
coming back from ACL. Yeah.
But if you end up believing in
LaRaven,
that's shout out to the Black Line. If you end up believing in him, well, then you have an asset draft, asset in a trade, potential trade with Andre Dillard. But again, you never know. A key injury happened here. Andre Dillard comes in and shows his worth. Not only will his draft capital go, his trade value go up, but maybe he ends up being a key part in Eagles succeeding because, again, like you said, one year, the injury bug got to let us go. I mean, like, you can't keep bringing us back in it. We've been hurt since the Super Bowl.
Every year. We're decimated. It's not like a few injuries here. We are decimated by injuries.
Exactly. And with that being said, the spot on the offense that looks to be, if that thing rears its ugly head, it would be the offensive line because of the older Jason Kelsey, because of the older Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks. Now, I do feel confident that, like, look, remember, Brandon Brooks got hurt right around this time, like when we weren't supposed to be playing football. So let's hopefully get him into some pads. And Lane Johnson had that wrong ankle surgery, misreconstruction or whatever it was.
Yeah, reconstructed ankle surgery. I never even heard of that until that injury.
Yeah. And so with that being said, it comes to, like, if these guys can get to a week or two from preseason and they're feeling good, I mean, that's a great sign because we've already been having players drop before they can put on the pads.
Right.
And I honestly do think now with constantly trying to get new medical staff and all the stuff we've been doing, I guess the guy who came in didn't even really do anything. He just spent the whole year watching so he can learn what he can do this year. So he just watched a lot of things go wrong. So he should have a book full of information.
I mean, the one thing you could say about Chip Kelly and all his shakes, man, nobody got hurt.
Exactly.
But they were also a lot younger team.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And
Chris, too nice, man. Chris, you're too nice, buddy.
And that's why I got to look at it in a sense that maybe there was some with just the coaching staff, like either pushing guys too far or not enough that they were getting hurt, because it's something. And again, I don't really like to discredit Doug Peterson and these guys because they did a lot of wrong to us last year, but they also brought us something that we've been waiting for a long time. True. But Doug Peterson never was able to keep healthy guys. Like, think about it. I mean, there was even a year that we went 7-9, Carson Wentz's first year. I can't like exactly quote it, but I just don't remember being like, wow, this team is ready to go health-wise under Doug Peterson, and it could be something about that. So I'm hoping whatever Nick Sirianni's doing, whatever this mindset and just the energy, just do something, because this is the crazy thing. Like, a guy like Jordan Howard, who was the bell cow for a Chicago Bears team, he gets here and has this mysterious 11-week stinger.
Yeah. 11 weeks.
A Malik Jackson never missed time with the Broncos or the Jags.
Yeah.
He misses times. And even a guy like Deshaun Jackson, he's never been able to stay fully healthy. But look at him with the Washington football team. Look at him with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He gave that team double-digit games each season. And watch, I guarantee you he's not going to be super fully healthy for the Rams, but he'll play 13 games, 12 games.
I mean, you wonder, I just wonder if some of these guys are just too old. They're just too old, too worn out, and we've kept them too long. That's the only thing I can think of, really. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Shout out to Sean Davis. He said, Philly, it's the truth. You are the best in the business. And that's what he is. He is.
You guys are too nice to me, man.
That's what he is.
Thank you, buddy.
But yeah, man, the injuries are a big concern. But you got to feel optimistic because it's a new regime.
Right.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm not saying that Doug was doing things wrong. And we made the playoffs every single year. So honestly, even though I'm happy where we sit now because of all the things that are getting spilled to us, the Nick Sirianni energy, the Jonathan Gannon,
right.
But retrospect, we should have gave Doug Peterson an extra longer leash because of the fact that we went to the playoffs multiple times, but we're still been trending worse. We've been getting to the playoffs, but with an uglier record each year.
Right. No, I hear you. I agree. It's exciting.
Definitely. But with that being said, I did want to ask you one other thing.
I say Mark Holmes is my daddy over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Mark Holmes is not my daddy. Yeah. He's Dak Prescott's daddy.
Yeah. But I did want to ask you when it comes to just the running back situation. I know you talked early about Miles Sanders we both talked about Miles Sanders not getting the carries and he should get the workload, but we did re-sign to Jordan Howard. Yeah. We did go out and claim Kerryon Johnson off waivers. Do you think we're going to move back to not an actual committee, but take some of the workload off of Miles? Because Miles has been a guy who shows he gets nicked up. He's a home run hitter, but he gets nicked up. How do you feel about that?
I think they're going to run the ball a lot more than people think they are. I think if you look at the Chargers, look at their offense. I think it's going to be a combination of the Chargers and the Colts offense. I think you're going to see a lot of that. And I think that they went out and they got these running backs. Now, I'm going to say this. I think there's going to be a couple battles. And I think the running back situation is fascinating too, because I think you got Miles Sanders, right? I think you're going to get a battle between Kerryon Johnson and Jordan Howard for that second kind of physical back. Then I think you're going to get a battle between Boston Scott and Professor Kenneth Gainwell. I call him Professor because he sounds that name Kenneth Gainwell. It's sounds like a doctor or something. So I think you're going to get a battle between those two guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if Boston Scott does not make this team and Jordan Howard are both gone. But by the time it's all said and done.
Hey, it definitely could be. Shout out to everybody in the chat, though, 100%. Listen, if you haven't done it, smash the like button. It does go a long way for the channel. It pushes it out. And if you're not subscribed to Philly 500, I don't know why you wouldn't be subscribed to the GOAT of Eagles content. So definitely go do what you got to do. But I did want to say I agree. And like, what happened to Miles Sanders' receiving ability that he came into the league just catching 40-yard bombs and just being able to have sure hands? He definitely fell off, whether it was Carson Wentz a little bit, but there were some gimmies in his hands. I just think it was such a bad year last year. But as the Black Line said, Miles Sanders, like, I think Gate City said this too in a video. The Eagles at the running back position for, like, don't quote me, on so many years had 3 70-yard touchdown runs or something. And Miles Sanders had that just last year. So the dude is a guy that if you give him the ball at any time, he can take it to the house.
Right.
Do you want him running maybe close to 300 carries? Probably not. But here's the thing, in this day of age, running backs are expendable if you're not the Christian McCaffrey or the Derrick Henry. I almost said LaShawn McCoy. Miles Sanders, he's going to be coming up soon. What do you think is going to happen with that situation with the running back market and just the way the Eagles?
Here's what I think. I think Miles Sanders is going to have a monster year this year. I think he's going to have a monster year. So I think that they're going to give him an extension because he's going to have such a great year. But you're right. You don't need to give him the ball 300 times. But I think somewhere around over 200.
Oh, yeah.
I think he needs 15 carries a game at least, and then another 5 to 10 touches through the air. Like, I want to use him that much because I think if you use him, like you say, he's a home run hitter. I mean, now I'm old. I go back to Barry Sanders. I remember games where Barry Sanders could have 5 carries for -5 yards. And then all of a sudden, boom, 90-yarder, 80-yarder, 70-yarder. That's how I kind of see Miles. You have to keep feeding him the ball because every time, maybe that time he breaks it. I mean, he could have 70, 80 yards we talked about in the first half. They don't give him the ball in the fourth quarter, in the second half. Maybe he would break 2 or 3 runs. We win a couple more games. So Miles Sanders, to me, he should be set up for a big year this year.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have the coaching staff that's going to utilize Jalen Hurts' legs. They're going to utilize Miles Sanders. He's going to be the first in line for touches. And You said it perfectly. Give him 15 carries, 4 to 5 pass attempts. And again, hold up. I wanted to say this real quick before I get to JC Eagle talk. Shout out to my guy. Miles Sanders was so giddy about Shane Steichen. He said, that's my guy.
Yeah.
He said just the way he's bringing that energy on the offensive side of the ball. They talked about how much the screen game is going to be back to Philadelphia, something that we've done so well under the other coaches. I mean, the Brian Westbrooks, the LaShawn McCoys, all the screen game running backs we had. I'm ready to see what Shane Steichen has that with the Dallas Goedert lead blocking. You got guys like Jordan Mailata who can get to the second level. We know Kelsey's second level blocking is probably a bar none. And so I'm ready to see perfectly executed screen passes that can go to distance too, to get, Jalen Hurts feeling himself too. Easy completions. We can't come into the season though. And I know Eagle fans are gonna, if Jalen Hurts struggles a little bit, they're going to think this guy's been in the league for 4 years. No, there's going to be some growing pains. Can he just overcome the growing pains and get dubs? That's how it's going to have to be.
That's how it's got to be. Remember, he's only played 4 games. Only 4 games.
Exactly. Shout out to JC Eagle Talk with the $5 super chat. He said, I agree. We have players hurt every year. There's no way we should have that many injuries every year. Maybe they be eating too many Philly cheese steaks.
Yeah, something. It's something what Doug's doing, Maybe he's too lax with their conditioning. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. I'll say this. I also think that a lot of the injuries you see now in today's football, it comes because they don't hit in training camp anymore. There's no hitting the way there used to be. And these bodies aren't used to it on game day. I really believe that.
Yeah. I don't know why. There it goes. I'm going to say someone's car alarm's going off and nobody's doing nothing about it. And I got my window open. Like,
well, if somebody was stealing the car, you shouldn't hear it anymore either because they'll drive away.
Yeah, take it. It's not
take
mine.
The damn car. I don't know.
But yeah, I just think that, like, there are definitely the fan base in the NFC East really is looking at the Eagles as if we're not going to cause no trouble for anyone. And again, I'm a gambler. I try to stay away from the Eagles because, that's betting with the heart and not the head. But at the end of the day, I do think that the question marks that are there is, we're going to have to see. But just the information we got already, I do feel good in the sense that, seeing what we saw from the players and the coaching staff in 2020 and how it ended that poorly, you can only be optimistic from what we're going to see going forward, especially with what was presented in front of us. And that is what they want to do, how they're going to do it. Jalen Hurts looking like, when it comes to intangibles, a guy who will hold himself accountable. Guys, I threw a bad pick. This loss is on me. Y'all played great. This is on me. And that goes a long way with your teammates. And it's no wonder that the likes of a Jalen Reagor as soon as Jalen Hurts came in, started playing a little bit more inspiring. We know why Alshon played more inspiring because he was the Josina Anderson
Right.
report.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he just got to feel a little bit better
You wonder
than.
too with Rager, like it's got to motivate him that they drafted Devontae Smith, that they drafted him and said, you know what, we're not so sure you're the guy because we're going to take this guy right here.
Mhm.
I hope that bothers him, and I hope he comes out ready to go this year.
Yeah, and that's going to be big because, like I said, to get an established wide receiver core, you can't just have one guy and a bunch of nobodies. You
Right.
need to get the production from the other ones.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stephen Joyce 21 channel member. He said two of the best in the business. Appreciate you, my guy.
Thank you, man.
100%. But yeah, and it comes back around to Devontae Smith. He's going to be a rookie. I think teams are going to look at him and just be like, we got to put a stop to that though, because not saying Jalen Reagor won't be good. He hasn't shown that he can do much, but we haven't used him the way I think he'll be utilized in the slot. But
Yeah.
How do you feel about Travis Fulgham? Do you think that, again, these are all these are new coaches, so they're only going to be able to go off what they see, and there's not going to be no favoritism at the wide receiver spot? Do you think him being undrafted guy from the Lions and the Packers who bounced around, do you think that's going to play a role in these new coaches' head, or they're going to say, "Wow, he was productive for 4 games"?
I don't think it plays. I don't think it plays any effect to their head, but I do think it plays effect to Howie's head and the front office and the GM's head and who they want on the roster and who they push the coaches to get. I do think so because if you ask me, I think Fulgham showed the most promise. Fulgham showed he could play. The question is, can he be consistent? It seemed like when Alshon went out, it seemed like he lost a lot of confidence. Then he started dropping balls, and he was never the same. Can he rebuild his confidence? Can he come out and can he win that job? He's got to beat these guys out clear as day. I still think Quez is the guy, though. I think Quez is going to be surprising a lot of people this year.
Hey, he definitely has that, and he's an in-betweener. Like, I think in college he was able to play on the outside a little bit more. He has to get his body a little bit more NFL ready. But let's not forget, I know you were really high on Henry Ruggs in that 4.3 speed.
Yeah, it was.
He was second to Henry Ruggs when it comes to the 40. So, Devontae Smith is a guy who can get deep. He can put the burners on, but he's not like the fastest guy in the world. He's a really great route runner. He's just going to find separation in ways that other people can't. But
exactly,
Quez can definitely offer something. I think we're gonna, I think the wide receiver battle is going to be very interesting, and you get a team that's going to be more balanced, and you can't, pin your ears back and get rid of Jalen Hurts. It's just, man, like. The thing is this, and I don't understand why other fan bases don't just look down on us so much. If Devontae is who people think he is, the Heisman, you know what I mean? It hasn't been done by a wide receiver in 20 plus years. If we all know Miles Sanders being a home run hitter. You saw Travis Fulgham in a small sample size. Jalen Reagor offers some upside, and honestly, if healthy, we have the best offensive line in the division. Now, Dallas's offensive line is good, but I think their injuries are more concerning in the sense that little things keep happening. They keep going in and out. Ours were boom and done. You know what I mean? So they don't get the big one like that. Maybe they could survive a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. No, totally agree.
And so I look at our roster, and it all starts with the offensive line. Good offensive line makes running backs look better than they are, makes quarterbacks look better than they are, makes receivers look better than they are. And we're going to need that offensive line play to compete.
If we can get those guys to stay healthy, because I think if Lane plays, Brandon Brooks plays, Kelsey plays, if Sayamalu plays, Milano plays, I think you're going to have a good offensive line. The question is can they be consistent and play all year? The other thing too to think about is you have guys like Driscoll and Herbig. They did get a lot of playing time last year, so it could be interesting to see how they develop too. They may be a lot more ready to go in if need be for a game, for a couple games, whatever you have it. So the offensive line is key. It's going to be key to Jalen Hurts also. It definitely is.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you though, What is your take on what the Eagles are going to throw out there cornerback too? June 1st is coming. June 1st is coming, and we are going to get that Malik Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey money. Maybe Zach Ertz's future starts to look more clear now that June 1st is there. But right now, we did sign we signed that Meadows dude who's like an undrafted free agent to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
And then we trade, breaking news. The Eagles made a trade. They got Jacksonville Jaguars finest who couldn't beat out Sidney Jones.
Right. I think, I do not think the second corner is on our team right now. I still don't believe that. I still think we're waiting till after June 1st to make that move. I think hopefully it'll be like Steven Nelson. That would be great. But I don't know. I do think they're not done there. The question I also wonder is, what are they going to do with Avonte Maddox? Is he going to be outside? Is he going to be your slot? Because that kid they just got for Jacksonville is a slot corner, if I remember correctly. Then you have McPherson, who I like, but he's a 4th-round pick. Can you really count on a 4th-round pick to be starting corner? You're starting second corner right away. I can't do that at this point. So I do think they're going to make a move for a corner. I think it's coming after June 1st.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't really want to talk down on these guys too. I think Josiah Scott can offer something in the backup role to Avonte Maddox or make Avonte Maddox raise his game. I like how he, plays in the slot, being able to jump routes and not. But again, he's another 4th-round pick of last year. Right. He was a 4th-round pick out of I slipped my mind.
I forget.
But you got 3 guys who are going to try to make iron sharpen iron, but no matter how sharp it gets, they're just not really fit to play outside.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the concern. But like you said, Steven Nelson, he's not a guy who's like, to me, he's the best available, especially if you're talking about a guy who can show upside and then possibly sign a little bit longer term because of his age. But I'm not saying this guy is a lockdown corner or nothing like that. He just gives us the best chance to compete on the outside, especially if he's still dealing with the number 2, because we're going to put that burden on Slay. You know what I mean? So I think you got to make a move for just a veteran name out there.
I think they're going to. I just think they're waiting for this money to clear up, Joseph Vega. What does he got to say?
Go ahead. You can take that one.
500. Our offense will be like Wheaties, well balanced. Wheaties stinks. Scott doesn't make teams. Eagles will be good. We need to start fast and strong. 11-6 playoffs. I don't know how they will do. Earth's going June. 11-6. He keeps saying 11-6. We're going to Super Bowl. I think you're eating too much Wheaties, my man. We'll see. I hope you're right. I think between 7 and 10, 11 wins is possible. I do.
Yeah, I think definitely we're going to, like I said, there's just so many things that played a part in the demise of the Philadelphia Eagles last year. And it would take an absolute disaster to have the last place quarterback, the amount of injuries just on the offensive line, a coach that forgot that you can run the ball and it's not just Madden, Hail Marys all day. There's just so many things that reared their ugly head that it can't be worse.
Right.
It can't.
Right. I agree.
But
totally agree.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. We still got like 230 people in here. Listen, if you haven't hit the subscribe button to my channel, 500's channel, make sure you do that. And also hit the like button. The like button is free. It's easy. Don't cost a thing. And it pushes us out to other Philly fans. And, I don't know why, but we always get Cowboy Giant fans in here. And so shout out to you guys for watching the enemy. You know what I mean? I ain't mad at the game.
Nope. You can't get mad at them for that. That's for sure.
Definitely. So, to just bring this thing all around, if I had to ask you, who is the biggest competition to the Eagles? The Giant fans are claiming they arrive. Washington won a division last year. They didn't get worse, but they didn't really fix that quarterback. And then the Cowboys, a team that, on paper, when Dak's there, are able to get yards, who gives you the most worrisome out of them three teams?
Washington and Dallas. I think those two teams, because Dallas, their offense is legit. I mean, they legit can score. They can move the ball. They're not going to have a problem doing that. Washington, I think both sides of the ball, they're really good. They just need a quarterback. So those teams scare me more. Which one more? I don't know. I go back and forth between the two. I think Washington, if they had a good quarterback, I would say them. But I would say, Dallas with that offense is scary.
So so I know you've always said it, and I know, and it's great. And so you're dead set on a giant sweep, right?
Oh yeah, we're sweeping the Giants again.
Sweeping the Giants.
Yeah. Giants don't scare me at all.
That would make it even worse for them, for the simple fact that they lost so many games to us. They get that taste of victory at the end, and then we just take it right back from. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? That's going to be.
And it's going to happen. Best. It's going to happen, and it's going to break their heart. It's going to break their heart.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking of the details for a bet with Chris the Entertainer, not on the record, but he threw it out there on the last roundtable we had. I said, we talked about, I think the Cowboys fan and the real Ed Oliver were talking about Hurts being better than Daniel Jones. And so we came up with the possible, we don't know the details yet, but there's going to be overall touchdowns, which first it was passing touchdowns. And I'm nervous. I was a little nervous because I think that Jalen's going to rush for a lot of touchdowns. Yeah. He's inside the 10-yard line. He's going to, do what he got to do. But then he said overall touchdowns. And I know Daniel Jones can run. He doesn't make it to the end zone. He falls down.
He falls down. Yeah.
But if you're giving me a guy who passed for 10 touchdowns last year, I don't know what he rushed for. I'm really thinking about, making a little juicy and taking overall touchdown Hurts and Jones, and let's go with it.
I say take it. Chris is cashing a lot. He's writing out a lot of checks right now. He's going to have a lot of cashing to do. He ain't going to be cashing. He's going to be paying up, I think. So go get him.
Go get him. Shout out to Jay Kills with the $2 super chat. He said they blame me, the statue. Hey. You know what's crazy? Them days are going to be gone because, like you said, Jalen Hurts coming out here. He's not afraid of the competition. He says rent is due, and he doesn't look like he's going to miss any payments. So I love the energy he brings.
I do too.
Shout out to Free Man Luma with the $5 super chat. When is the last time Philly had back-to-back bad seasons?
It's been
I
5,
think we'll be
years.
very good this season. Yes.
Yeah.
Yo, listen, just over the last couple decades, when the Eagles get a new coach, they do pretty good. When the Eagles do bad, they follow it up pretty good. Think about it. Since after Andy Reid left, we get Chip Kelly, right? Boom, we are pretty good. Then we get Doug Peterson, we're pretty good. So we have a way of finding a guy, even if he's not on everybody's radar. They had the Robert Salahs out there, they had the Arthur Smiths who went to Falcons, and after 5 coaches get taken, we're like, Nick Sirianni, who's Nick Sirianni? But now hey, we're gonna see. Nobody wanted Andy Reid. Nobody wanted Andy Reid.
It seems like every time we're counted out, that's when we're at our best.
Yes.
Definitely.
And I love it. And we're definitely being counted out. You got the national media talking about everybody but the Eagles. And it's good. It's good because there's always that team that come week 3. You gotta change up your feelings of, oh wow, these 3 teams arrived, these 3 teams fell back to the norm. You know what I mean? And I think there's going to be a team in our division, not named the Eagles. It's going to be one of the Cowboys, Giants, or Washington football team that might start the early part of the season like a 1-3 and 1-4, and they're like, "Wait, what happened? Like, what happened?" And
it always happens. It'll definitely happen.
Facts. Joseph Vega with the $5 super chat. He said, "Never said Super Bowl. I said playoffs at least." Oh man, you to remember the team that wins is the one that's the hungriest or has nothing to lose, and that's us.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and you heard, Jalen Hurts says hungry, and we not missing any meals. Missing any meals.
Nope. I think we'll be fine. I can't wait. I'm ready. I wish we could play right now.
Right?
Why wait?
I will say this though, so since that Julio Jones things was trending, and again, shout out to Julio Jones for just doing this to Cowboy fans, just doing that to Cowboy fans. I will say this though, Darius Butler, a player, he put out a thing. Julio Jones will be a blank, right? And now you have like players from each team retweeting it, saying their team. And there was one Eagle player who came out and said Julio Jones will be a at Eagles. And it's all in good faith, but it was Darius Slay. So
that would be shocking. It would be shocking.
Yeah, I know it's not going to happen, but like I said, I wanted to see, like you said, there were players from each team just throwing it out there. Everybody's having fun with it.
Yeah.
And so it was good to see Darius Slay come out there, use his Twitter, and just say at Eagles. You know what I mean? So,
hell yeah.
I mean, it's a pipe dream.
I'm not going to complain if they get him. Believe me.
Could you imagine Devontae Smith on the opposite side?
I'm not going to complain at all. No.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness, you'd be talking about a Julio, Devontae, and Rager, like
that'd be brutal. I don't think it'll happen, but yeah, I wouldn't mind.
I agree 100%. But yeah, we're going on right around an hour. How you feeling? You good?
I'm good.
We do some more. Let's get some of these questions, I guess. So they're actually having a conversation inside a conversation. But yeah, nobody wanted Reed, nobody wanted Peterson, and nobody wanted Sirianni. And that's exactly
it's how we like it.
How we like it. Like 500 said, when we're counting out, that's when we're at our best.
Yep.
No doubt about that.
No question.
So with that being said, I think that's all she wrote. Shout out to everybody who came in the chat. I'm gonna probably watch some playoff basketball. I know the Sixers don't play until Wednesday. You know what I mean? But
I don't know why so long.
Playoff basketball. Hey, yeah, right.
It sucks. I'm ready for game 2 tonight after yesterday. But
I agree 100%.
But thanks for having me on, man. I do appreciate it. It was a blast as always.
Thanks for coming on. With that being said, like I said, shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out if you haven't. It's easy, it's free, don't cost a thing. Shout out to Jersey Boy channel member. Let's. What are your thoughts on the starting linebackers? And real quick, and who do you think they will be?
Well, I think you got Wilson. I'm going to say T.J. Edwards, and then I'm going to say Baby Arms Alex Singleton will be your 3 to do it. However, I want to see Sean Bradley. I want to see him develop. I still don't know what to think about Davion Taylor at all. So, there's some young guys, but they got to come and they got to take it, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm also along the lines of you when it comes to TJ Edwards. I think he can offer something at the linebacker position. He just now is showing the signs that he can't stay on the field. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He got better in coverage. I'm not saying he's out there, dropping back guarding tight ends like that, but he did a little bit better this year in coverage. He's always been good against the run. We did hear Gannon come out and say that Eric Wilson's going to either be the Will or Mike, so he's guaranteed a spot.
Absolutely.
But I think the linebacker core has, I think it's gonna have more upside than last year. Nathan Gary's gone. A guy like Duke Riley, although he's a great special teamer, he's like we missed some pauses.
There you go. There's your pause, G-code.
But I think it's only gonna be better. I mean, Davion Taylor really was throwing himself out there on the channel when I had him on, saying about how even something as simple as striking, he wasn't really able to do because how they used him at Colorado. He was more of that guy who just blitzes on the outside. So he had to learn how to strike a lineman, how to go head up against a guy, how to shed a tackle more. And he said, he's really excited for his year 2. Of course, no one's gonna say that they suck on camera.
No, you gotta. He's right there. You got to give these guys a chance to develop. Rookie year is just their starting point,
Facts. Shout out to Joseph Vega with the $5 super chat. He says it pisses me off. They give us no chance this year. The underdog Hurt said rent's due. He's not missing a payment. Not being homeless, exactly. Well, homeless would be worse than 4 games. That would be considered homeless in the NFL.
Agreed.
But
yeah,
I do believe The linebacking core is going to be better just by eliminating Nathan Gary and a guy like Duke Riley, who's mainly a special teamer. You know what I mean?
I couldn't agree more. Nothing to say about Nate Gary, but he stinks.
Yeah, and then you also got Jock Tail talking about Jacoby Stevenson, what he's going to be able to offer in the secondary as the safety or a hybrid linebacker. I know we drafted him as a linebacker. He played safety in LSU, but
I want to see what he can do. We'll see. He's very promising, but we got to see, man.
Yeah. It's not what you did in college, because we know there's college players who definitely don't translate to the NFL. So listen, as me and 500 pretty much talked about on this channel, on this stream, was the new energy, and that this team is going to be competitive. Competitive with the rest of the NFL, maybe not, but competitive with the NFC East, we are. And I'm not saying that there's no possible way that we can't, go above and beyond me or 500 expectations of that 7 to 9-ish, 7 to 10 games. But, the question marks are there. And so I look at the question marks with a clear mind and say, Nick Sirianni's saying all the right things, but does he get a little choked up on the sideline?
Right.
He knows how to scheme it up, but does he know how to call it at the right time in the right sequence? These are stuff we got to learn. Yeah. Is these young guys going to be able to jump right in and do it? But you can look at it that way and say we start out slow, but you can also look at it and say upside in everybody's name and what everybody's saying. So, it could go both ways. Don't let no one say that there's no possibility that the Eagles don't come out with that hunger, that energy, that, you always want to do something different when you get a new ball.
They're going to win a division. How about that?
There you go.
Think they're going to win a division.
They're going to win a division.
Yep.
With that being said, shout out to all you guys. Nobody's giving up on the season, but anyway, shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Hit the like button on the way out, and until next time, y'all know what time it is. We out. Peace.